So I will call the meeting to order. It is 6:30. First item on the agenda is citizens communication. And we have no citizens here, so we will move on to approval of the Equity Commission regular meeting minutes of January 27th. Can I have a motion to approve, or do you all need a minute to?
Did we want to mark that one little copy, the mentioned twice? Yeah. Just wanted to.
Yeah, there was a
After that, I can
duplication.
second.
Yeah.
I'll second after that.
All right. Did we get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right. And then you seconded?
Second.
So all approved?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Meeting minutes are approved as corrected, amended. Item 4 is to discuss and consider action regarding the 2025 listening sessions. Brianna.
All right, good evening. So I'm going to go through a couple quick slides. In front of you, you have the planning document as well as tonight's slides, just in case you'd like them. It's a new clicker. Okay, so last month when we met in January, we asked you to review the planning document, identify which month you would want to plan, and come back with questions. But before we touch on that, I'm just going to do a quick refresher on what we talked about last month. I know a lot has happened in between now and then. And so I'm not going to go through the entire presentation from last time, but I am going to share the timeline. February through March is kind of our time to plan locations, time, logistics, topics, and questions, and hoping really that April it's final and we can begin marketing it out to the community, have our flyers ready, share those out, have our social posts ready, and get it sent out in April. That would include putting it in our key to the city, our flyer, and our utility bill insert as quickly as we can. Then in May through September, you would conduct the listening sessions. October, we would summarize our findings, present it to the Equity Commission. November, present those, depending on the timing, if we can present it in October, great. If not, early November, present those findings to the Equity Commission and then present it to council. In the planning document, there's this little table that has the listening tour dates. Right now, it just lists the months, but then we're hoping tonight we can begin to fill in some of this information. I know we had a quick turnaround between January and February, but hoping that we can hopefully fill in some of this information tonight. Then as we progress and we have it finalized, I'll put your names on here, and the next time you see me, you'll see your names pretty on the slide. And then we're going to talk about what we're going to do for March. And so March, we'll continue reviewing the planning document, just checking that it looks good. If some of this on here is if we don't get through it tonight. And so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Well, that's the wrong button. And show this. And so when you look at the planning document, this is on, should number these pages, page 3-ish, if you ignore the first page. And this that's on the screen is the exact same thing that's in front of you. And so we're hoping that you've kind of identified, hey, I'd like to do a session in May and a session in June. You don't need to have the date today. If you have the date, that's awesome and great. If you have the time and location, awesome and great. And then those topics. Like we talked last time, we felt 5 topics would probably be best so that you could do 2 sessions on each topic. It's probably best that if you pick a topic, you do that topic twice, just so you have consistency in the facilitators. But it's decided upon this commission if you want to split it up with another commissioner. It's also recommended that we figure out those topics and then identify questions for the topics. The questions don't necessarily have to be the same amongst each session because a question about safety may not translate well to a topic on health, for example. Not to say it doesn't. I'm sure you could word it in a way that it does, but you may want to have more specific questions for those specific topics. So tonight, wanted to see if you took a look at the months, if there were months that you were like, I'd like to sign up for this one. If you have a date selected and a time selected already, great. And then talk about the topics. So I'll start off with, did anyone pick out the months that they wanted to do?
I guess we all did. Yeah. Hey, look at us.
Wonderful. Okay, well, I'll just start, I'll go this way just for ease. Claudia, what were you looking at?
I'm gravitating towards the back half.
Okay.
So August, September, and I don't have a specific date, but either I can do 2 in September or I can do 1 in August, 1 in September.
Okay.
But I'm definitely gravitating towards the latter part.
Okay. Clarissa?
I'm looking at May and July.
Okay. And then Corey.
That's awesome, because I was looking at June.
Okay.
When does that happen?
I was prepared for this, like, okay, who's gonna do what? Okay, so I will put y'all in here tentatively. Well, Corey, you kind of just get June.
Yeah.
Because that was what you were hoping
That's
for.
fine, yeah. I'll do 2 in June.
2 in June? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll, Clarissa and Claudia, maybe at the next session, you can kind of come with a final decision on the month.
Okay.
A date, again, would be great in, what's next month? March? Oh, yeah. So to have that date and location set in March would be great.
Okay.
If we can't decide on which month today, but definitely March, having that month, that date, and that location. If you're having a hard time with the location, please reach out to staff and we can figure out some alternatives. If it's becoming difficult for you to figure out location. Wonderful. What about topics? Were there any thoughts on what topics you wanted to do? And you could throw them out, and then as a commission, you can kind of narrow it down.
I had like economic equality, so it's kind of like one of the pillars.
I was going to focus on accessibility and barriers to access.
Oh, sorry. Are those two separate or one?
I think they should all be in one.
Okay.
We're just dealing with
I just wondered.
accessibility.
Okay.
I had the topic of like historic places.
Okay.
And actually, I also had like support and skill building and mental health. Those are probably 2, those are not one topic, those are actually 2, but those are some of the others. And I also had transparency with like governance, since that came up. We might want to explore further.
Okay. Any others?
I had community challenges and needs.
Okay. Any others?
I had lifelong learning, which kind of goes with skill building, but it could also be as a separate. Because the skill building was more like with youth. Lifelong learning could be broader.
Yeah. Yeah, we did have some of that. Suggestions of like financial literacy and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess to add a little bit more to mine, it would be like development transportation, I guess. Isn't that real?
Development transportation?
Yeah, development slash. Yeah.
Development slash.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all came up with 9. Would you like to narrow those down to 5 tonight? Or think it through and narrow it down in March? March would be like, kind of need to make a decision. If we're looking at our, I'll back up. Our timeline. I'll read the list.
Yeah, let's read that out.
So we have economic equality, accessibility / barriers to accessibility, historic places, mental health. Number 5 is skill building. 6, transparency, community challenges and needs, development / transportation, and then number 8 is lifelong learning.
And the development and transportation can kind of be lumped in my mind, in economic equality. Like, if
Are you thinking like economic development for that one?
Something like that to that extent, yeah.
You know, Tim was going the wrong direction. I realized it's library on snap. Fun fact, I've been there.
Yeah, we changed up the location,
I was
so
all
pay
over
attention to
already.
the location.
Yeah, last month I came here.
That's
Good to
okay.
see everybody.
Good to see you.
Well, I'll get you quickly caught up to speed. We were going over the planning document that is in front of you. We have the timeline with February and March being our planning locations, times, logistics, topics, and questions. Finalizing in April to then market it out to the community, conducting our sessions through May and September, doing a summary of findings in October, and then presenting those findings in November. Right now, we were talking about, I'm gonna figure this quicker out by the end of this. Discussing what months and then topics that we would like to do. And so for the months, Clarissa was looking at May or July, Corey was set on June, and Claudia was looking at August and September. Were there any months that you were interested in conducting?
Was the July taken, you said?
I'm okay with giving that up if you really want that.
No, it's no particular, you know, just not June. I'm flexible. I can do
Okay.
anything but June.
Yeah, because I'm pretty flexible too, so yeah, it'll work itself out.
Okay. So what we'll do is in March, we're going to finalize the dates. So just think about kind of your set decision for March.
Okay, sounds good.
Preferably your month, your dates, and locations and time, if you can.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna make that note and make sure I can read that note. Okay, so then we were talking about topics, and so we were going through the topics, just throwing some out there. So far, what has been thrown out there is economic equality / development and transportation. Number 2 is accessibility and barriers to accessibility. Number 3 was historic places. Number 4 was mental health. Number 5 was skill building. 6 was transparency. 7 was community challenges and needs. And then 8 was lifelong learning. Were there any topics that you were interested in exploring during these listening sessions?
I like the community challenges, if that hasn't been picked or chosen.
Are there any that the group is like, absolutely, we definitely need to do this one?
Definitely accessibility and barriers to access.
Okay.
I think the economic equality, I have some folks in mind, and I think I could set up a good session.
I think the transparency would be good.
That's something that came up in my discussions with other folks too.
I mean, I think they would all be good, but we're narrowing it
Yeah.
down.
I suggest that the mental health one could probably be postponed because I think when we start talking about things like economic development, accessibility, community needs and challenges, we're probably going to zero in on a little bit of that on mental health. And that way we don't have to, we'll probably get insight there instead of waiting on one general topic. And then if we do decide to do that later, we can be even more specific based on what we get in this round of sessions.
Well, I guess that's where I was questioning myself with coming up with the topics, because one thing is the listening sessions, right? And we had also talked about in the staff recommendations, like an action could be like a focused activity, event, whatever you want to, campaign, whatever you want to call it, on different things, which could be mental health. So I was like struggling with, do I want this to be a topic for a listening session, or can it be a whole separate actual activity for the community?
Well, I think that's the right mindset. I
I'd-
mean,
I'd
like, this is
ra- I'd
what
like to-
brainstorming is all
Yeah,
for, you know.
Yeah, I'm happy to take it off if we could actually like maybe put something together.
Okay.
I think too, it'll be a good idea, like, as we structure our questions that we're gonna do for the topics, we'll be sharing them, and then maybe we can give each other suggestions of, you know, try to aim at some of the insight that we wanna be able to get, yeah.
You could certainly have a question on mental health that touches all of them of how does economic development impact your mental health, or that's a very broad and
Yeah.
general question, but you could think of that framework as well if you wanted to have each topic touch on that as
Yeah,
well.
I think it works nicely with accessibility too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the services to needs to.
I'm thinking to what Omani, I think you said in the last session, and I think frankly what council has kind of said to us too, right, is like, what have you done, right? And we heard the mental health topic in the listening sessions.
Yeah.
So, you know, balancing, getting more listening in with offering the community something when I feel like we have a lot of community-based assets probably
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
space. So, and then just the topic of mental health, like, I know my life, my family's life has been impacted by it. So if people have already told us it's a challenge, like, we
Well-
can, yes, we can listen, but maybe we can also move something forward to be a help.
Yeah, and all of these topics, that's the weird thing, not the weird thing, but the thing about mental health, right? It spans across everything.
Yeah.
It spans across all these topics because theoretically speaking, if all those topics were in good shape, mental health collectively would be a lot better, you know, so it works.
Do you want to think on the mental health workshop piece?
Yeah, I think we can bring back maybe an item for next month about
Okay.
the topics from last year's listening session.
Mhm.
Maybe articulate some of what that might look like, put that on the agenda for next month. And maybe
Yeah.
that's one comes out of that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Sorry, making notes so I don't forget. Okay, so I've starred some of the ones that we said. So I have economic development and economic equality and development and transportation. Except,
Yeah.
I'll word it better. I'll find a better way to word it.
I tried to
I was
word
just
it better
feeling
too.
for you.
I'll find a way to get all of your thoughts into
Yes.
there for you. Accessibility and barriers to accessibility, transparency, and then community challenges and needs. Leaving you with one more topic. On the list still that you have, and if you want to think about it, you have historic places, we do have mental health written down, and then skill building as well as lifelong learning.
Skill building and
Lifelong
lifelong learning
learning,
could
yeah.
be really cool. Like, figure out some ways to like financial responsibility, all these like, what's the need out there in the community? I like that.
Did that
Yeah.
follow? Okay, I want to make sure Okay. So what I'll do is get these topics kind of worded in a succinct way. Make sure that it still captures what you were seeking. So that'll be on the staff side. And get you the list. So I will fill out this planning document with your names. There's another sheet that has this sheet that has my notes on it, all ugly. I'll put in the topics there so you can clearly see the topics. And then think about which topic. Now, if tonight you're like, I already know I want to do this topic, I can write that down. Like Corey, you mentioned you already wanted to do the economic development, so I'll put that down for you,
Yeah.
if everyone's okay
Is
with
that,
that.
is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other topics you're like, this is the one I want to do while I'm sitting here?
Skill building, lifelong learning, because I
Okay.
proposed it. And transparency too, happy to do that.
Okay.
That should be a fun one.
Okay, what's left?
Accessibility and barriers to accessibility, community challenges and needs.
I'll take the accessibility. I wanted a community needs, but you can have it.
So I should only pick one? Because you want the person to do the same one twice?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's what we talked about.
that's
Okay.
best.
So I'll take the skill building, lifelong learning.
Okay, skill building, lifelong learning. So we have, now you could do, if you really wanted to, you could split it or join in together. So like you and Amani could facilitate the conversation together, as an example. If that
This
was,
is my first time doing it.
if you wanted,
Do it, all right.
Follow your lead and let's make it happen.
so we could do, so I have, let me word this out well. Corey, I have you on economic development.
Yep.
I'm just calling it that for now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Clarissa, accessibility and barriers to accessibility. Claudia, I have you on skill building, lifelong learning. Then community challenges and needs, I can put Clarissa and Amani together. If you're good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And then what's left as a topic is transparency.
Transparency.
I don't,
And that's a good one too, because I was kind of jealous about Round Rock bragging about their award about transparency for their government.
Oh, they got an award.
Yeah,
That's
I think
research.
it was like out of 5 and something in Texas.
yeah,
But-
there are transparency stars that you can get. Part of it is like you post your check registers on your website. Some of it we haven't done mainly because more on the security IT side. We don't want to post all of our check register online. We don't want people to know what banks you're working with and
Yeah.
things like that. But it is, they are working towards some of those transparency scars. I can say that. I do know
Got it.
that.
Cool, cool.
Okay, well, right now transparency doesn't have anyone assigned to it yet, but I've put an asterisk by it. I'll make the list pretty and make sure that you all get the pretty list. I'm gonna run through it real quickly verbally with you all, just so that we're all on the same page. But
Wait, can I
Go ahead.
pause? So Dr. Miller's not here. If she joins us in March, like, could we still maybe give her the opportunity if she would rather do like historic places, which is a finalist but doesn't have an owner, versus the transparency?
that certainly, if you as a commissioner go with that, yeah.
I'm just thinking if, she's not here, but if she is here and it's not too late, and that's another option that we agreed to.
Yeah.
We can defer
yeah.
to her if she can do
That
one
makes
or
sense.
the other. That would be my thought.
So I'll read this through. Right now, we have for the months, May, possibly Clarissa, June is Corey, set, July, possibly Clarissa, and then August and September, possibly Claudia, and then Omani is good with anything but June. For June, I have economic development set for Corey as one of your topics. And then your other topics are accessibility and barriers to accessibility with Clarissa facilitating. Then we have skill building / lifelong learning with Claudia facilitating. We have community challenges and needs with Clarissa and Omani facilitating. And then we have left on your topic list was transparency as one of the ones you starred. But we also have left not starred as a topic, but on your list is historic places and mental health.
Sounds accurate so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I
And
said,
staff is gonna come back with some mental health, something or other.
yeah, we'll come back at the next meeting.
Your list for the 24 listening.
Okay. Well, that is great. I'm excited.
I thought you was gonna unleash something else.
No, I'm very excited. I'm a big planning person, so this makes me
I get
excited.
it. No, I'm glad when it all came together. It's always great when people are just like, I'm flexible, whatever.
So what we'll do for March, review the planning document again. You'll get an updated one. Work on selecting your location, your date, and your times for the month that you've selected. Look at the months that you were flexible on. You don't have to do, so like Corey is doing the entire month of June, not
Yeah, not every day.
but June, 2 sessions in June. If you wanted to do 1 session in May and 1 session in July, for example, Carissa, that we've done that in the last session, so don't feel like you have to pick 1 month. So if you're like, I can do 1 day, I can commit to 1 day in June and I can
That's good to
commit
know.
with 1 day in August, you can do that as well. Just be prepared in March to say, this is what I want to do, so that we can get that set and begin working on materials to be marketed in April.
Time of day also can be
Yes.
flexible too.
Time of day can be flexible, so
Yeah, that's a
if
good
you're
idea.
wanting to do a noon time on a Wednesday, or if you're wanting to do a 1 p.m. on a Saturday, that's flexible. Think about in the document, there are some guides for tour date meetings, so thinking about the location, being dispersed throughout the community, suggesting maybe HOAs, if you need assistance with that, we can work with you. Times being, thinking about working parents or retirees,
Yeah.
students or family members.
That's why switching around the different times and the
That's why
days
having
are
two
good.
would be nice.
And then thinking about locations fitting up to 25 guests, preferably that they have chairs available for use.
I suggest, is there opportunity for us to kind of brainstorm a little bit on that today? Because
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about that. I don't know a whole lot of different locations,
Yeah,
but other people
certainly.
may. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll finish this slide and then I'll
Sure.
get back to that.
Thanks.
So, preparing to invite neighbors and the community to listening sessions. Something we did last year is we asked each commission member to invite 2 people to each session. So if you see 2 people, say, hey, we got a session coming up in May, you should come. Just to kind of, if each of you do 2, then that means you have 10 people invited to each session at least. Well, we've already identified which month, so that can have a check next to it. And then coming back with questions. So I'm going to go back to Clarissa's point on discussing location, and you could also begin discussing questions tonight as well. So last year, for those who weren't a part of the sessions, some of the locations included, we hosted at, I'm so sorry, Circle of Hope. We hosted at Circle of Hope. We hosted it at all of the names. I see the location in my
St.
head.
Elizabeth.
St.
St.
Elizabeth's.
Elizabeth.
We had one session at the library, and then we planned for
Justice Center.
one at the Justice Center. So those were some of the locations from last year.
Okay.
Some city facilities we have, but if you want to do them, we need to kind of check in to see if they're available. Rec Center, possibly, if they don't have programming in all of their rooms. We also have the Justice Center. There's very slim chances that the library has availability, but it's possible, but very slim chances. I think that's all of the city facilities at this time.
Okay.
We do have the Green Red Barn, but it's an outdoor facility, so if you're doing a July or August, you're gonna want to do it
Yeah,
at
that
8
would
p.m.
not be kind.
So I don't recommend that one, but it
I would actually most months of the year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
Better
you
on
have a
this
snow
list.
cone truck out there.
Right.
It was 85 a couple days ago.
So those are some of the city facilities.
How does it just occurred to me, but
Sorry. We also have a facility at Windermere Park as well.
Oh, okay.
an indoor facility?
Yes.
Yes. Windermere Park, which is it?
I did not.
Just off of Gower.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Familiar with that. Okay. I was looking at the city webpage today and saw that, can you reserve the plaza, the little plaza, what do we call it? But
That's
that's, I
little
know that's
plaza?
outdoor, isn't it?
Sounds right, you can. There's also, if you want to host it like in May, we do have pavilions and things like that if you feel comfortable, it's outdoors. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
know that that's the risk of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, certainly we can look at pavilions, things like that too in our park system. Or the plaza.
I just thought that was cool, like in the plaza.
Yeah.
And it's very central. Okay. But the rain.
But the rate,
It
you
could
just never
rain.
know.
Yeah.
I sound like my husband. He's like, it could rain, but.
So Brianna, were there any particular sessions where we saw more turnout in certain locations as well?
So
Which ones are more a
um,
draw?
the Circle of Hope had a lot of participants. I think also Circle of Hope advertised to
Yeah.
their community.
Yeah.
So that was a draw, and they knew the location.
Yeah.
I think anyone that wasn't a part of the Circle of Hope community was probably 1 or 2 people that showed up that weren't a part of the community that joined just to join the session.
Got it.
Second to that would be the library, which was a session I believe you attended that had the next most participants. And we
Yeah.
saw library members pull other library members in during that session as
Yeah,
well.
that's true.
What about, do we have any access to like county facilities in our area? I'm thinking of like the
The health
tax
arms.
office.
You could ask.
Okay.
No, this is great. There was a couple of places that I didn't even think of or didn't know.
HOAs sometimes have buildings too.
That's
That
a
you
good-
might think about
yeah.
if you're,
Yeah.
in a certain area or trying to, get a broader range, not all in one site or location. HOAs sometimes have buildings that you can use as well.
It's true.
I've also found it helpful to like find the community leaders, and sometimes they kind of have space, like the food bank and different folks. So like making those connections, those relationships,
Yep.
like really helps.
We also hosted in St. Elizabeth's Church as well. So part of that, I think we also had those sessions in a different language, and
Oh, yeah.
that could have impacted participation. So I wouldn't write off churches as a host site either. So if you're a part of a religious organization, and they have space, or the leaders within there, that's also good.
Like, question team, and I don't know if this has been, this idea has been brought. Is it possible we can think of an incentive to give to those that attendees, something in bounds, if it's allowable, whether it be a gift back from the city, I don't know, touching that lane, if it's advisable or not advisable, but I think any way we can help to improve, the incentive for coming, you know what I'm saying? Besides equity and share your ideas, but if you do come, this is how much we appreciate you, if it's possible in any way, shape, or form, it may help the turnout. Because I know no matter how much you can engage, or a great leader you may be, and the times we in our society is tough to bring engagement, Everybody in a virtual world still partially. So it's just an idea. I don't know, what we can do, that's fair and, equitable to everyone who comes to. That's the tricky part, But even if it's a bag from the library or, a mug, whatever it may be, they say, if you come, we got a treat for you. I don't know, but just, any ideas on that, I think can be helpful.
Or a door prize if we can't do it for everybody.
Right.
'Cause I can
yeah.
see that being,
Session.
Right,
Yeah.
and then maybe we can give it could be even a pencil stack, whatever it may be, to, something as
I
appreciation.
think these days, like a $25 or a $50 HEB gift card
It'd be
is
nice.
will go a long
It
way for
would.
some people.
It would.
Just
Any
to be able to
form
have
of appreciation.
food.
You know what I'm saying? Just
But-
as a thought.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
I think it
you
would be good to
that
find
can
some
be
kind of
fair,
incentive.
to those that's come and may spark a lot more interest. That's all. Just an idea, team.
And it could be different things. It could be a situation where, like, if we don't, one session may do a door prize, one session may just be, we give them some swag for them to take after, thank you for taking the time out to give us their feedback.
And I just thought about something too. Even I was just on a finance committee, and just receiving that certificate I got in the mail in appreciation for what I did in finance committee. I don't know how much it take even to print something out for those that come. It's not something that may cost $50, $100. So they may even like that idea as a token of appreciation. You receiving this gift from the city,
Yeah.
as an idea,
Just recognition that you participated.
You participated,
Yeah.
and equity commissions, Q&A or whatever you call it. Just an idea, something that we can think about because incentives. We all love incentives as human beings.
Yeah.
We can explore that and come up with some ideas and bring that to the
Something
next
to be fair to everyone.
next meeting.
okay.
I wanted to also see if we can talk about doing a online survey version that coincides with our in-person to allow even more insight from people, from those who physically cannot attend. those who have barriers to transportation, to get money for bus or to actually make it. I don't think we should, I think we should make it a little bit more available for folks to participate and give insight in a convenient way that's for them. So maybe, because I did some of my questions already, and I tried to also configure a set that is the same, but it's worded a little more friendly for an online version. I think if we consider doing that with our sessions, we may potentially get more feedback from folks.
So I'm gonna give you some information just to help y'all make a decision.
Okay.
Not trying to influence the decision, just to help you make a decision. Last year, when we did the listening sessions, we did do a survey at the very end. So after all the sessions is when we put out the survey for about a week and a half. The questions were in English and Spanish and in Vietnamese. That was last session. Just so you know, some surveys that are coming up that staff is planning on is this month we'll see a survey come out to help develop the strategic 2026 to 2030 strategic action plan for council, so our 5-year action plan. You'll also see a survey come out. It's the community survey. This is a survey we do every 2 years that goes out to the community to see what's important to you, what's working, what's not working. Same questions that we've done to kind of have benchmarks. That's coming out in May. And then any other surveys you can think of?
Those are the two big ones.
Those are the two big ones.
Okay.
We're also, just so that you're aware, working on a platform that will allow us to kind of have the community sign up if they want to participate in surveys, where we could do like a quick, you get a text message to do a quick two question survey benchmark. That's not happening yet. We're still exploring the idea, but just so you have that kind of information as you talk about what the surveys will look like for these sessions.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense, and it also makes a point that if there are, you also don't want residents to have survey fatigue, so.
But if that's something, if you want to ask those questions as an online survey, because I know that we did get responses last year, and some of the things you could do is you could just have a link where here are our listening sessions, here's a survey if you can't attend. If you want it at the same time, or if you want to wait until after that session. So if your session's in, I'm using Corey as an example just because you have 1 month set. If Corey's sessions are in June, then maybe in July you share out the link for those economic development questions. Those are some options as well. But certainly up to the commission to decide if you want to do the surveys and the timing of what you want that to look like. I'll let y'all discuss.
I would be in favor of it. Because I can see like some people, like they're at work, they're not able to transport themselves, like they want to still have a voice in the community. So but I don't want, fatigue from so many. So there might be like 5 in a row. So that might be a lot. So like, how can we narrow it?
Well, keep in mind, this is just for those who actually attend that session, right? So say, for example, if we're passing out the listening tour, there's probably going to be somebody who wants to participate in that because we're doing topics. It's not like we did last year. So they might go to a specific topic and want to be able to give feedback. It could be as something simple as on our flyer or digital information to have a QR code posted on there with the link to it. Like you can also deliver your feedback here if you can't make it here in this time and place in person. I don't want us to do too much, but I do want us to try to focus on, there are folks out there who have other commitments where they want to be able to give their feedback, and as long as we have something accessible for them to choose to do that, that's fine. But we definitely don't need to boil the ocean, so to speak. We don't need to make it a big to-do, just.
I think last year, the concern and the reason for waiting till the end was we thought, like, yes, it makes it accessible to those that just cannot, but it also makes it easier for people that might otherwise go in person to opt out of showing up in person. I think that's what we were managing against, but that was with us not having done any listening sessions
Yeah.
before, right? So I believe that was what was informing our decision last year to wait and not do it simultaneous with.
Yeah, and I understand that. I think too, like, these days we might need to flip that a little because due to the pandemic and things like that and people feeling compromised. I mean, there's some people who I know will not be in person because they're immunocompromised and there's still a pandemic going on. So
Most likely, if people are really passionate about the particular topic, they'll do everything possible to show up in person, hopefully, if they can, if they
if
don't
they
have.
can,
If they don't
sometimes
have-
I can't.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, just the ones that can, right? The ones that just cannot are gonna opt for the survey.
Mhm.
Yeah, so one thing to maybe help ease the concern of survey fatigue and putting too much out at one time. When I think back to the social post that we had, what we did is we talked about the listening sessions were coming up, here's what they were, and we listed all the dates, times, and locations, and something we can do is easily link to a survey associated with that. So it's all on one page,
Yeah.
and then if they're like, I can't go to this, I can go to that, but I would like to do the survey, then they can just click that link there.
It might be good to have the surveys all get together, right, maybe? Like, all the topics, but like have them split out in sections, possibly?
All the topics in one survey.
Possibly. I mean, that gets everybody on there and then they're able to communicate various topics to us and they're not like confined to clicking on the right QR code at the right time. Just an idea. But also, yeah, it's
That
kind of
means we
hard.
all have to have our questions ready in May,
Yeah,
possibly,
that's true.
Yeah.
which maybe is doable.
I mean, there's another way we
Still
could
can-
think about it. I mean, I don't want to like dictate the comms department, but like if there was like economic development month or something, and you have a little survey, or like you just kind of make a theme for the month. Just
You might be actually onto something in your previous thought, because I've designed surveys like that before, where it depends on your software, but we could, if we did get those questions ready by May, they could all be in there, and, we can also do branching, so they're not saying that, like, it doesn't have to be as long as a survey, with all of our questions combined. That might be making things a little bit bigger than what I was trying to avoid. But yeah.
We could, yeah. We can certainly do branching. So I think on the survey point, maybe what will be helpful is brainstorm your questions. So when we come together in March, we can talk about those questions, and see if we're at a point where, if you have your questions ready in March, send them, we'll gather them, and I can work on a mock-up survey. So that way, if you like the
Nice.
branching, if you like it all in one and it makes sense, we can do that. If it seems too complicated or isn't the vision that you're looking
I like
for,
that.
then we can break it up.
Alright.
And so if in March you can come with questions, if not, I'll still do a mock-up either way in March, but it'll be helpful if I have your actual questions.
would
so
you like
I
us to
can-
send those
yeah.
questions before March, like before the meeting?
Certainly,
Just
yeah,
so we
that,
could-
that's helpful if you have them and you're ready to send them, share them my way and I can get that list together.
Okay.
And that way when I come in March, I can have a much more
Yeah.
pretty piece of paper for you instead of my,
And
very
in terms
ugly
of,
notes.
in terms of number of questions, are we using this quantity as a guide?
I
Or
think-
what's our range?
I think
recommended
what we
range?
found,
It's 8 of them.
last year was 8 was plenty.
Mhm.
If anything, 8 was almost slightly too
Almost
much.
too much,
It
yeah.
went long.
I think if you have 5 really good questions, I would say 8 would be my
Max.
recommended maximum, just because
Yeah.
we got the amount of feedback you got, conversation you had, it almost became really difficult to get to all 8
Yeah.
in a way that didn't feel rushed.
Like one question can create a 30-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So I would recommend, a sweet spot would be 5 questions, but if you feel like you have, I'm not gonna say like 3 questions is too little, because if you have 3 really great
Yeah,
questions
it
that
could
we
be
know
that
are
too.
going to spark great conversation,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't worry about it. I think for your time frame of these sessions, people can commit to an hour a lot easier than they can for more than an hour. I think we had the idea that we would be there for an hour and a half, and we could definitely fill up an hour and a half worth of time with the conversations. But individuals don't want to commit to that much time. That's totally understandable. So thinking of if you have an hour to ask questions, and how detailed or deep or direct your questions are, what that conversation could look like. So 5 is a sweet spot, 8 is my recommended maximum, but if you, I'm not gonna give you a minimum, because you can come up with what you think is best for that.
Makes sense.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, it does. Before we all go off, I come with 15 questions.
Okay, so our action steps for next month, you have those, you can check off kind of that second to last bullet point, because we've almost nailed that. I'm going to prettyfy my notes and make sure that you get this planning document filled out with everything. Next time, we'll come back with your selected date, time, and preferably location. And then we'll fill in the topics from there. The topics I have are economic development, Corey doing that one, accessibility and barriers to accessibility with Clarissa, skill building and lifelong learning with Claudia, community challenges and needs with Clarissa and Omani, and then your last starred was transparency, and then 2 alternatives that you have is historic places and mental health. We'll come back with some ideas for incentives to attend or something that we can do for those attending. We will also come back with topics from the last sessions and kind of some ideas on how we can do education on those. And that is my to-do. And then I will have a mock survey for you so that you can kind of see if that fits your vision or not.
Sorry, go ahead.
In the meantime, if you have your questions ready, or if in between now and March you've figured out your date, topic, or your date, time, and location, and month, send that my way or to Jennifer, and I can fill that in the document as I go, so you don't have to wait until March to send it over to me.
Yes, so on the skill building topic, I don't remember that being one I heard in the sessions I hosted. So I'm curious if you all remember what group or which session that came up. That might inform.
I had some at the food bank,
Okay.
kind of talking about like the need for their education and how their, I don't know, kind of financial, like how to actually handle the finances, how to talk to your landlord or something like that too. Had very many landlord problems that, what are your rights as a renter and things like that. So there were various things like that was affecting the community that's using the food bank.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
As I explore locations and communities.
Mhm.
Okay. That is everything I have.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I think that is the agenda, so we can adjourn 7:18.
I'm
Thank you.
motion.
Thank you.